Hello everyone, Simsy Claire here and welcome back to my channel. So today we're doing another Sims 4 speed build, and this one is again in Brindleton Bay. I was trying to get out of Brindleton Bay because I built a lot in here, but I really wanted to do this lighthouse inspired home, and considering Brindleton Bay is on the coast and it does have its own lighthouse, I figured that it would be the better place to put this build, so I hope that that's okay. But I'm really happy with how this build turned out actually. It starts with this white and light blue color scheme, but you will see me change it towards the end because it wasn't looking good in any pictures because you couldn't really tell the difference between the light blue and the white, but it ends up as like a medium gray tone and light blue, and I think that it just looks so pretty. I was really happy with how it turned out, especially this lighthouse portion, wow, that you see me building here. So initially you saw me build it a little weird at first. I built it without any walls, and that was because I was going to try and use roof pieces so I could angle it a little bit and kind of make it like larger on the bottom than it was on top, but I couldn't figure out how to get that to work smoothly, so I ended up cutting all of that out of the video and just doing like a straight up and down equal proportion build, and I think it looks really good. I wish I could have figured out how to do the uneven bottom to top ratio, but I still really like how it ends up looking. I think it really does look like a lighthouse, or at least in my opinion. And then over here I added a fireplace, or not a fireplace, a chimney. Now it's kind of weird because that the chimney is on the opposite side of the house than the fireplace, and I was gonna try and put another fireplace on that side of the house to kind of make a bit more sense, but I couldn't actually fit it in, so I hope that's okay with you guys. But since I had the lighthouse on the one side, I didn't want all of the features to just be on that side of the house, which is why I put the chimney over there. But anyway, here I'm going out and trying to figure how I want to work the shape of the build. So I have this little balcony area on the second floor, and then I also cut out by the bottom floor so that way they would have like a little porch out there as well, and then they also get a back porch. I believe I draw that a little bit later, but I was trying to get this porthole window to fit because I thought that was really neat if like the lighthouse had a porthole. But I couldn't get it to fit on how small the roof was, but I liked the size of the roof in comparison to the rest of the house, so I decided just to use these other cats and dog windows. And then I used these large ones to kind of fill the space up here just to make it a little bit more of a feature and to stand out a little bit. And then I do decide to switch the doors because I really like that large open glass one for front doors, and I thought having them stacked right on top of each other, one for the front door and one for the door out to this patio, it would just look a little messy, if you know what I mean. But you also saw me going on the inside and drawing some rooms. Now all of those rooms do end up deleted. That was just so I could manipulate the outside better without having to move the entire house. So I do end up cutting out the floor plan of this just because it took me a really long time to figure out how I wanted to floor plan it, particularly with the lighthouse pieces and how awkward those rooms are. But I really like how I end up working it, so I hope you guys don't mind that much. It just took me way too long for me to reasonably leave it into this video. But here, you saw me draw the back porch real quick, and then I do decide to change the fencing on the front porch there because it looked a little, kind of the same thing with having the two doors the same. It looked just a little crowded having the barn style fence around the entire house basically. So I wanted to do something a little bit more plain for the bottom area. That way it was just a little cleaner and it wasn't so cluttered. And then I real quickly add some, what are those called? Are they called like wall banisters? I can never remember what they're called because they're not the spandrels, because that's what goes above the porches, but whatever those like wraparound things on the walls are, I add those to the lighthouse real quick just because I think it gives it a little bit more texture. And then I also cover the entire lighthouse with windows, and that's where the issue came in when it came to floor planning, because I was trying to figure out like what room would feasibly have all windows surrounding it, because I didn't want to take any windows out. So I end up one of them ends up being a knitting office, and then with the new pack Nifty Knitting, and then the other one ends up being like a conservatory or like a sunroom area which I really like how that one turns out. So we'll get there in a second. And then you real quickly saw me place some windows on that side. And it's really funny because I placed the windows there so that way when I went inside, I could just move them to where I needed the windows to go, but I never placed them on the other side. So at the very end of the build, I then have to fit windows onto the other side of the house. And then I also never move those windows. I just leave the windows exactly where they were. And it looks a little crowded, I'm not gonna lie, but I figured in Brindleton Bay you would want a whole lot of windows because it's a very, very scenic area to live. So I figured that that would be kind of okay, especially since it's just one side of the house. But then here you saw me line up those garden path stones from the debug menu, and I thought that that was kind of a nice little change from what I usually do, because I usually use the terrain paint paths to lead up to the front door, and so I thought that this was a cuter way to do it, especially since I did think that a grandmother would live here. So this house does sleep 7, I believe. Yeah, it sleeps 7. It could theoretically sleep 8 if you wanted it to. You just have to switch out one of the beds to make it a double bed. But it has 4 bedrooms, 3 of which have double beds and 1 has a single bed. The single bed is for a kid. I did decorate it that way. And then there's 1 double bed for a teenager's room, and then a double bed for what I imagined would be a grandparent's bedroom, and then a double bed for what I imagined would be a parent's bedroom. Now, another part of me kind of thought maybe it was 2 teenager rooms and a kid's room and then a grandparent's room, and the grandparents were raising the children. So that was kind of where I went at the beginning, and then when I ended up decorating the other room, I definitely made it a little bit more mature. So maybe it's still, like, maybe the grandmother's still raising the children, but one of them is just a little bit older than the others. I'm not 100% sure, but it does sleep 7 or 8, depending upon if you want to switch that one single bed out. And as I said, it does have an entire knitting office, which I'm really happy with how that turned out. So I definitely pictured at least the grandmother knitted. If not, she owned like a knitting company, and that's where like the big house came from. But here, this is where I start going on into the inside. I don't do any landscaping on the outside or on the back, because I was saving that for when I decided to decorate the porches, and that way also in case I had any issues in the inside of the house, like not having enough space or needing, you know, just a little bit more room in some of the areas, I could go ahead and switch things around without having to deal with the landscaping. And then you saw I did skip over the floor planning as I said I was going to, but I start with this gray on a gray color scheme because it kind of matched the outside of the house a little bit more. But I do end up changing this rather quickly because I think it just looks a little, I don't know, it looks clean and it looks really nice, but I just thought it looked a little dark almost, and I go and I switch these over to like cream curtains, and then I realized that I really wanted like a cream color, so I start with this, and then I do end up going for walls that don't have any wood paneling on them though, because I don't like putting pictures on walls that have wood paneling, because I feel like in real life they wouldn't sit on the walls. Like, I don't know if that's just me, but I feel like if you had all this wood paneling on your walls, you wouldn't have pictures on them because the detail would be the wood paneling. So that's just kind of what I was thinking. And then over here in this area, there is a closet, and I needed something to put in this corner here, and I had no idea what to put. Because corners are really weird to decorate because nothing really like sits against outwards corners. Like if it was an inwards corner, I could have put one of those corner shelves, but I decided just to use those hanging plants because they filled up the space, and it also kept like the floor from being too cluttered. And also I really love those hanging plants. I do use them quite a bit in this build. But here is the downstairs bathroom, and it is a full bathroom. I do believe, if I remember correctly, each bedroom also has a full bathroom, so there is 5 bathrooms in this build, so it's a pretty decent sized house. And I can't remember, honestly, if I cut out the bathrooms. I'm pretty sure that I do. But here is the laundry room / like mudroom area. And I got a comment on one of my videos saying someone didn't know what a mudroom was. And I think that this might be an American thing. I don't know if they have them everywhere else. But basically a mudroom is kind of like your back entrance to your house. It's where like you go out, like when you come back in from being outside, it's where you track all your mud in so you don't track the mud all through the rest of the house. That's pretty much what they are. They're just these like extra rooms to throw your shoes and all your like clutter around, so that way the rest of the house doesn't end up all that messy. But this is going to be the living room area. So this is where I put the fireplace. That's why I said it's a little weird that the chimney is on the other side. But like I said, I think it's okay. And then I start with those pink curtains because I was thinking like there would be a pop of color. But then I really didn't like how it looked because the room like right next door has that bright banana leaf wallpaper, and I thought that that looked just a little weird having these bright pink curtains and then the banana leaf wallpaper. So I do end up changing them to the cream, and I think it works out better because I used pops of color on the couches. You can see I'm using that Jungle Adventure couch with the orange, and then these two nifty knitting chairs also with orange. So I think like the pops of color definitely come in, but it's a little bit cleaner without having those bright pink curtains on the wall. And then here, I just place a couple of decorations around, not that much. I do, though, go back and clutter up the, coffee table. After I clutter up the kitchen a lot, I realized that the living room was rather lacking, so I do go back and add some clutter on there. But over here in this corner, I just place one of the shelves we got from Eco Lifestyle, and then I move on into this conservatory area or sunroom area. So, as I said, I did use the banana leaf wallpaper. And then I used that couch from Cats and Dogs, which I almost never use, but it fit really well in the corner here of this house, so I figured that it would be nice to get that into a build at least once before I completely forget about it and never use it again. The greens also really matched the green in the banana leaf wallpaper, but in here I just get a couple of plants. You saw me place some chairs and everything, and then I also get that like gramophone or the record player over there, which I thought was nice, and then I also get a bookshelf. There is also a study in this build though, so that is not the only bookshelf that we have, but I thought that it would be kind of nice to have one in there so that way the grandma could sit and read while she was like sitting in the sun, but not too much in the sun. And then in here is the kitchen, and it is a rather large kitchen, and it's the kitchen and dining space, and I actually really like how this kitchen turns out. So I use the Parenthood counters again, and then I give them a little bit of an island here. But I do end up connecting it. Yeah, you saw me move them all over there, so that way it was connected to the refrigerator. And then I put some curtains up in the windows over here, and I give them a microwave and then a couple of different clutter items. And when I say a couple, I mean a lot. And I just fill up the space quite a bit. I do leave all of the island counters, though, open so that your sim can actually cook in this kitchen, because I do always try and make my kitchens functional, even though I put tons of clutter on them. But I was so happy that I finally found that Cats and Dog shelf. I don't know if it's just me. Let me know in the comments if you have issues with it too, but I can never find these corner shelves. Whether it's the Cats and Dog one or the ones from Base Game, I can never find them. I go under surfaces, I go under miscellaneous decorations, and I can never ever find them. Unless I go under like all Cats and Dog items, and then it's sitting there. But I feel like that's just so weird. And I don't know if I'm just missing them, but yeah, so I'm so happy that I actually found that, because I had no idea what was going to go in that corner until I finally found that thing. But over there I do end up placing some dog bowls, but I start with the dining room first, and I initially had all the walls gray, but I decided to go with blue because it matched the tile on the Parenthood wallpaper that I used behind the kitchen, yeah, behind all the counters and everything. And then I just used my favorite seasons painting, and then as you saw, I placed those cats and dog bowls there as well. I do give them more stuff for cats in this build than for dogs, but obviously you could have one of each or just one depending upon how many Sims you actually play with and how much room you have. But there you saw I just added a couple of remotes and some clutter items, as I said I did, to the coffee table. And then going up here, this is the landing area for the stairs. Now I usually do open landing areas, but I wanted to, I don't know, it just seemed really weird having it so open in a home like this, because this isn't a modern home, it's definitely more of like a traditional family home. So I definitely thought it would be a little bit more of an older style, and more older style homes don't usually have open concepts, so I thought it was a little weird, especially since the downstairs was more closed off, having that landing area open. The upstairs one though is open, but there's only one staircase there, so I thought that made a little bit more sense. But here I am cluttering up another one of these Eco Lifestyle shelves. I'm so happy that they gave us more shelves in Eco Lifestyle. I do wish though that some of the objects they gave us on these shelves came separated from the shelves, if you know what I mean. Like if we got them as clutter items, because there are so many different items on there that I just want to be able to pick up and place somewhere else. But here I'm just placing another little hallway table just to kind of fill in the space and get a little bit more decoration. And then this over here is like a really awkward hallway, so I needed another bathroom because I thought it was weird just having one bathroom on this floor that was connected to what's going to be I believe it's the grandparents' bedroom. Like, I thought that was just awkward that the kid would have to walk through the grandparents' bedroom to get into a bathroom or go all the way downstairs. So I do end up putting a bathroom there, but it is really tiny. You saw that, and it doesn't actually fit a shower. I have to use one of the Discover University ones, which isn't bad, but it's definitely weird, especially in a house like this. So it's not technically that Sim's private bathroom, but I definitely feel like they use it as their private bathroom, considering the shower isn't closed off. But so over here is the grandparents' bedroom. And I do place a couple of knitting objects in here just because I did think that they were the knitter of the family. And I give them a rocking chair, the knitting basket, and then that's pretty much it except for the bathroom. But as I said, I do skip over the bathrooms in this because they just took me way too long and they're super repetitive. So this is the kids' room, and it's kind of small, which means it was easier to clutter it up, I'm not gonna lie. And so I used this bed from the kids? No, this one might be from Parenthood. I think this one's from Parenthood. And so I used this bed, and then I just placed a couple of different decorations on the side table, and I definitely thought that this was like a very social kid. Like, they loved hanging out with their friends, they loved being outside, getting to know people. So I wanted to put those pictures up there, and then I also give them this kids room stuff dresser that has the pictures of their friends, so that way it looked like they were definitely going out with their friends a bit more than just sitting at home. And then I also give them some play items up here in their room, but I give them a couple more upstairs. You'll see that when we get there. But moving on into the office. So this is a plain office. I thought maybe this is where they ran the business from, because as I said, I did imagine they owned a knitting company. So maybe this is where they did all of like the heavy duty work, like business work, like they ran the numbers and they did all that. And then in here is where they do the actual knitting. So I basically just like sectioned off Nifty Knitting. I can't remember the word for that right now though, but I ticked it off in the menu, and then I just pulled out everything that I could fit from Nifty Knitting. I combined these two objects here, which I really love that they're able to do that. The desks and the different hall tables that we got, they all connect. And then I created like this massive desk area you saw, and I gave them an art easel and a couple of the different clutter items, some hanging plants, one of those couches and everything. And I just think it turns out to be a really cute space. And then going up to the upstairs of the house, we have this large landing area, which I struggle filling, I always do, but I think it turns out okay how I do it. I put a little kids corner in here, so that definitely helped me fill up the space. And then I place one of those cats and dogs benches here, and I really like those, but I always feel really weird putting them on the inside because I definitely think they're more outside ones. Like, if they came with cushions on them, I could see them being more inside ones, but I feel like they just look a little uncomfortable to be on the inside. But I think that it looked good in this hallway. And then here's going to be the parents' bedroom. So this is where I try to put another fireplace, and then I quickly realized that doing this, I don't have enough room for a bed. So I almost made this the teenager's room and just put a single bed in here, but then the other room also wasn't quite big enough for like a master bedroom, so I was just like, okay, nope, never mind, ignore the fireplace. I do end up keeping one of the chairs in here though, just so that way they have a little bit of like an extra seating area. And then they get a closet, which is good because they don't end up with a dresser. And I tried to do kind of like a double closet where it opened from both sides, but it kept glitching out, so I decided just to leave it. And then I just placed a couple of decorations in that little hallway there that leads into the master bath. And then I do cut out again because I just used the season stuff for all the bathrooms, so it got really repetitive. But this is the room I imagined for the teenager. Now, as I said, it's really small, so I do have to use these tiny living dressers, but I think it turns out okay, and I kind of pictured that this sim wanted to be an actress. So I do give them a makeup area and a couple of different decorations for what I pictured would be not necessarily movie posters, but maybe Broadway play posters. And then I give them a microphone, just a couple more posters around, and then a drone so that they could maybe like record themselves practicing their acting, and then also some lights just to, give them a little bit more pizzazz in their acting space. And then over here, it was a giant landing area, but you can see I cut it off just a little bit, and this I give the kid a little bit of like a theater area, because I thought maybe they watched their sister doing acting or something, and so they wanted to kind of get into it as well, so their parents bought them a puppet theater. And then over here, I just do another bookshelf and then another one of those little bench things that I had in that corner. And then out here on this upper balcony, I do end up with a table, but I don't use one of the umbrella ones because I realized that it has a cover on it, so there was no need for an umbrella. And then I use that cats and dogs chair again, although now that I'm looking at it, I think that's the Seasons version, but it is another one of those angled chairs. And then I get a sitting table and then another art easel, just so they had two different options on where they wanted to paint. And then up here, I'm trying to figure out the lighting situation. So I'm trying to make it look like this thing lights up from the outside as a lighthouse. So I place a whole bunch of lights up here in this interior or on the upper level of this, trying to get it to light up. And I like how it ends up looking. It's not as bright as I would have liked it to, but it's not a real lighthouse, so I think that that's okay. And then I place a couple of lights around the path too, just to light up, when they're walking around at night or something. And I place it in all the flower patches too, just to give them a little bit of a feature. And then I'm quickly going through on the landscaping. I don't do a lot of landscaping because I do put quite a lot in this backyard. You can see now I'm working on the patio. I'm using these Jungle Adventure ceramic vases, I believe they are, and I'm just filling them with some regular flowers from the Build and Buy catalog. And then on the actual patio, I get a couple of chairs for them to sit in, and then I build an extension of the patio off like on the lower level beneath the stairs, and down there I get a dining chair, I believe a couple of loungers, and then a grill. You can see me building it right here. I placed one of those low-lying fences on it. Your Sims can walk through those, so it doesn't matter that I didn't place any stairs because they're not high enough to block your Sim. And then I also do a little gardening area, and I add a couple more plants just because I thought it looked a little bare over there. And then you can see me bumping up the landscaping over here as well because I realized I didn't have anything in this corner and it made it look really weird. But besides that, that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed this one. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and to subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!